Good evening and welcome to a special meeting of the Board of Education. Today is October 14th, 2025. Can everyone please stand for the pledge and silence their cell phones? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we do have a public comment, but I don't think we have any public comments submitted. Great. So tonight's meeting is to discuss our board goals. And I think the best place to start is to look at the ones that we were emailed earlier today. And maybe to keep things in order, would anyone object to us just going around? What do you think? Is that okay? Or do you want to run it in a different way? I think it's just easier to take notes and have everyone gets a chance to speak. Or do you want to jump in? Yes, if you have an idea. Is that okay? All right. So the last time.
Any goals that we have, right? Not
Right.
necessarily those ones.
Right, exactly. So does anybody want to go first? Maybe we should start with the old goals. So the first one was close achievement or opportunity gap. Were there any comments on those? On that particular goal, do we feel like we want to keep this goal and move forward with it? Some of us who've been on the board already, do you feel like we've already met some of these parts of it?
I'm sorry, the
Any
first goal
thoughts?
is to increase student test scores, right? Or no, am I missing that?
Nope.
That's the
close-
SMART,
Yep.
the what is specific.
Right, that's the
Okay.
S, right, but the general goal is close achievement or opportunity gap.
I mean, I guess,
Okay.
Well, I'm just thinking like, because I've been talking a lot about community school. A community school, that's something that a community school would help with. The achievement gap and opportunity gap, by the services they could provide. But I don't know how that would fit in.
I did actually have this, like, when I was reading these, I thought to myself, a lot of them seem to fit in with what you had brought as an idea. I'm still having trouble sort of it seems very comprehensive, and like it has a lot of moving parts to it, so.
Yeah, and I have somebody that will come and talk to us about it if we so choose to move forward with it.
I see that as an aspect of how to fulfill goals, as you're saying. So I don't think one necessarily would, over the other one, remove the other one. So, and I mean, for me, I think this is definitely an ongoing goal. So I think we were talking, I was thinking about measuring to what extent there's still left to grow in the areas that we're looking at.
Okay, so back to Rebecca, to increase student test scores at state and local level for all student groups. That was the original S, which was part of the close achievement or opportunity gap. Are there any thoughts around that?
We haven't actually done that, though. Like, I mean, we haven't checked that. We haven't, like, followed it.
Nope. If anything, I thought we were making, an effort to not only rely on test scores and to come up with other ways of measuring.
I think with Portrait of a Graduate as well,
Yeah.
we need to keep in mind the direction that education's going, and that we need to weigh that into this, especially since there are shifts in the Regents exams anyway. So I think that trying to address both of those, it's important that we continue to find ways to analyze that information.
I would agree. And looking at, with that Portrait of a Graduate, there'll be other pathways and what opportunities are within the district. We're going to have to be re-examining that beyond test scores. I agree.
Can I ask a clarifying question? How long are these goals for? 1 year, 2, 3, 5, 25? I know
So
that's
they're-
extreme,
They're
but
long-term, they don't necessarily have an end, but we're supposed to check on them every year and see what kind of progress we made.
Yeah, and if you go to T, you'll see, like this one, I think was 2 to 3 years, but then we had COVID, so.
so are we looking at operational goals? Or are we looking at yearly or every 2-year goals? Because if we're looking at operational goals, those are listed under the policies of the district. So I guess, what are we looking at in terms of setting board goals?
I don't think they're operational goals. They're more long-term goals that align with our mission. It's a way of almost breaking down our mission. We have a mission statement, but we don't necessarily have, an action plan, so to speak. And so this is somewhat similar to that. I guess it gives us actionable ways of measuring that
So a 3 to 4 year time period?
I don't know that we've ever had an explicit, end time, to be honest with you.
I think what we should focus on is, as a board, where we're at and where you want to go
Right.
within the next 5 years.
5 years, so you don't
5
want
years.
to
Let's
have
That's
talk,
the
let's
timeframe.
just do that.
Yeah.
Because
5 years?
I like
start
that.
there, and if there's a goal that's be like, oh, this might take 10 years, then we'll have steps that we can accomplish in the next
Yeah.
5 years,
5 years
one
seems
year, whatever. I haven't been on the board for more than one of these cycles, but
Same.
it's,
I'm newer than
I
you
think a
are.
5-year plan is a reasonable thing that you can revisit each year. And now that we were talking about it before, now that we've started kind of this board retreat, that would be a great time to check in on our board goals, for each year and see like, okay, so when we did this last time, Marie did a great job. Like, I feel like we were always focused towards our board goals. And everything that happened in the district, it seemed to always circle back to that 5-year plan, call it, without much effort of having to revisit it each year. And that I really admired that, because Marie always kept it on the forefront of what's going on. So it kind of, as we look through these, I don't want to take up all the time here, but as we look through these, we started with the first one, but closing an achievement gap it's a very broad thing. We want to always do that, right? The next one was focus on the whole child. Yep, we could talk about what that means now, moving forward. But for example, we had focus on diversity, and we did this. We changed our trajectory at that day to focus on diversity. We hired a DEI director, and we got the district committee going, all within a couple of years. And so I would say that that's something that we don't need to focus as much on right now, because it worked. It got it embedded into our organization, I think, at a very low level. And then the last one was facilities, and we were talking before, it's kind of like, we got a couple of capital projects going. We had the Future Forward Task Force, that's always going to be a thing. And I think if we have goals, specific goals like community schools or some other goals, it might include facilities, maybe. So you put it on a list for 5-10 years,
Yeah.
type of thing. So I think you need to start kind of with, okay, Peter, what do you want to do you have any ideas you want to bring to the next 3, 4, 5 years of I feel like we're missing this, and we would like to move into this direction, and then talk about it.
I do have a question about the 5 years. Has that always been a thing? Because I'm newer than you are.
No idea.
Because usually, typically, school districts do 3 to 5
years?
years.
Okay. And we check in every year?
We didn't do a great job of checking in with this specifically.
I'll be honest, I didn't know these were
No.
our goals until I
Yep.
sat down right before the meeting.
And I didn't know we were supposed to circle back to them every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, this is all,
Supposed to, there's no way to, there's no prescribed thing
No,
of
Some
like-
how
school
to do
districts
it.
don't even have them, apparently.
which is,
This is our strategic
Yeah.
plan. This is our strategic planning session. And then what
That's what I was trying to think.
administration can do, and which they did in the past, was kind of like, okay, we have these 5 kind of general goals, some specific, some not. We're going to move towards these things, as an administration, and, by doing administration stuff. And everything was in the back of their mind were these goals. So it was kind of embedded in what we were doing anyway.
Yeah,
But I think we need to check in every year.
I
We just
do,
never did it.
I absolutely, because we have people coming on the board, who are.
I've been on since
different cycles
2021, and I
yeah.
did not know that these were our strategic goals, and I've asked about our strategic goals.
Oh, I didn't.
So I think this is a good place to start at least, but this was back during COVID time, so a lot of it is, we've gone through a lot of change, a little bit different. I think it's at least a good place to start, but
Yeah, agreed. I'm in a similar boat. It was online in 2020, I think, when I first attended, and I didn't really understand what they were, to be honest with you, so.
I mean,
Okay.
it's just been on for a year or so. at that
Well,
point,
okay,
didn't know
so I
anything.
think we all agreed 5 years is good?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just say one thing that I heard in the process that was mentioned by Marie, actually, that, and I think a lot of us are getting very thoughtful as to how to implement, but something you said, Kelly, that the goals can be very broad, and that the administration then figures out ways to implement those different pieces, so not to worry about the burden of how about specifically to implement them isn't necessarily the role of the board, as I understand it. It's more the role of administration. And I think keeping them broad, I mean, I definitely agree with that as being a good way to go. And then we can bring about, I personally see a lot of these goals as being still current, in my opinion. So I think finding ways to make them in any way to move towards the direction that we are seeing the state move, for example, is good, but to modify as we see fit. But I do think being broad is still okay.
So maybe a place to start is, are any of these no longer applicable? Does anyone feel like these no longer fit?
I think we should start with new
like
goals. I mean, I
new?
think we should,
Well, or.
with these in the background, but I mean, we'll go ahead.
Well, I mean, I definitely could see where there could be updating. I mean, the focus on, at least when we get to the diversity one, I think that there's some
Yeah.
updating that we could do. So if we're going to keep them, I agree with these areas, but I definitely see where we could revisit.
So I think we should have SMARTY goals. So at the end of the T, have an I/E, inclusion and equity. And then eliminate the diversity goal because it's embedded then in all the
see.
SMARTY goal, like as a SMARTY goal. And I think to your point, we've achieved a lot of that already. But we want to not forget it, right? So we
Right.
could
Right.
bring it to the future
We've
goals.
achieved the
like-
specific ideas that we had at
right.
that
Yes,
time.
yeah.
You know? I don't think,
That makes sense too. It means that we're looking through the lens, right, that we were striving for, and it's applicable to everything instead of its own special category.
yeah, that incorporates it, right? It's-
Okay. Does everyone
And it
agree?
frees up a goal.
It frees up a goal. Does
We can have as many
everyone-
goals or as little goals as we
Yeah.
want, if you want to, you know,
Does anyone object to that? Okay, great. Okay.
Smarty.
Smarty. Always, okay, so then we can, I don't want to say get rid of, but we can omit number 3 entirely?
Sure.
I would say yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if, especially if it's embedded in everything else we come up with.
Well, more importantly, you've met it.
Right.
You've
Right.
met the goal.
Right.
Agreed.
You can
And
look
like
at those
then
things and you
some.
can say, yep, the district accomplished those things.
Yeah,
So therefore,
Great.
by taking Rebecca's suggestion and moving the IE into the goal setting itself, you are further embedding those principles in the district.
Great.
I think the same thing goes for, well, if you look at number 4, yes, we always want to ensure a secure and safe environment, but the other point on there, develop a more future-ready classroom. I wonder, you know, it's like, I feel like when maybe the Future Ready, the name for the Future Ready Task Force kind of came from this. When I say it was like embedded in everything we did, it really was. So we didn't have this check-in. So it's like develop a more future-ready classroom and school building, plan, concept. You know, they spent a year doing this Future Ready Task Force. So it's kind of like, I can't say it's not done yet, but there's a plan for this. So it's almost like
Right.
it needs to be revised and changed and
We did.
everything. But, you know, we went to schools, we visited schools, we did all these, you know, we did these things.
But it's also
So-
ongoing, right?
It is
It'll always be
ongoing.
ongoing.
Yeah, so we don't.
Sure. You know, especially as we kind of get into our future, our goals that we want for the next 5 to 10 years, it may need other facilities. Hint, hint, hint. Sorry, foreshadowing.
Like a preschool?
Like a preschool?
I don't know. I was going to say that, like a
Throwing it out there.
preschool, yeah.
I would like that idea. All right, well, I feel like we should go in order.
I feel like we need to have a discussion. I feel
Yeah.
like it
Okay.
needs to be, what is the future in the next 3 to 5 years? What are the most pressing pieces that the district needs to address?
Are we just throwing out ideas? or-
That's-
And I think that's the way we
I
need to
was-
start.
I was thinking when.
Go ahead.
When we were looking at the diversity piece and what we had met, one of the things that I'd been thinking through of how we would look at this is we've been hearing and we've been talking about a couple different things. Families have come to us about the different models that we have for special education, the changing needs of students, the changing needs of the populations of students that we have. You know, we've had a very inclusive model, but then we also have our model of where our self-contained programs for students with higher needs have been expanding. So really, since, you know, we've been changing, so some form of like looking at what we need or what we need to have available for the changing needs of students of all different learning characteristics, you know, of just really, I don't know how we want to phrase that, but just, you know, making sure that we are looking ahead at what our model is and then what our mission is for supporting the changing needs of special education. Because it's really, you know, the needs of students they keep saying higher, but we have a couple different models going, but just really exploring that in some way. I don't know how we are going to
Do you see
word that
that,
directly into a goal, but
do you see that in the whole child category?
we could, maybe that's where we could adapt it there. That's a good
I
idea.
almost think we could combine number 1 and number 2 for that goal. Because I think if our overarching goal is to close the opportunity gap of all of our students, so that includes, you know, children with special needs and children who have enrichment needs and children who
Right, right.
have identity needs.
Yes.
Then I think if our overarching goal is to close that opportunity gap, or just to provide opportunity for a diverse student population.
Oh, I like that.
Then
I like that.
individually, we could,
Yeah.
you know,
opportunity.
break it down into each
Yes.
individual metric.
Yes.
So how to enhance the transition experience for our special ed population, how to provide enrichment for the elementary school students. You know, like we could make it more
Yes,
specific.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I like it organized that way.
I like that too.
So combine 1 and 2.
Combine 1 and 2, yeah. And we already got rid of 3. I don't like saying get rid of. Facilities, to your point that you brought up earlier, Kelly, we have met these, but I think we still need to keep them, right? Because we're going to keep improving our facilities and making sure that they're safe, et cetera. We don't just,
Do we need it as I mean, that's like, it's like ingrained in all of this. We need a goal to maintain our facilities. We know we're maintaining our facilities, like.
you're right.
I think we need to
because
see
now
what our
have
goals
it.
are, if we need a facilities goal to complement that.
Maybe we don't because now we have the Future Ready Task Force and it still exists and it addresses many of these things, as does the Safety and Health or Safety and Security Committee.
Well, yeah. I think we should kind of, so I know, I don't want to like derail the flow of this, but I know, I have some specific things I'd like to talk about. I know Kate, I know Tara does as well, and I'm sure other people have things that like they've been brewing in their minds, but like, maybe we kind of get that out and be like, okay, does that get included, does that fit into one of these goals or added into one of these goals from a couple of years ago or whatever?
I do think everybody has ideas. I was hoping we could we've already addressed 1 and 2 and 3. I was hoping we could just address 4 and then sort of everybody shares their ideas and see where things fit in. I'm just concerned that everybody has great ideas and it's just going to be like a festival of great ideas, but we won't leave with anything tangible or organized. That's me acting like Mrs. Potts. I hope you're okay with that, sir. I'm just trying to have a little bit of organization to it. I've already heard some great ideas and I'm looking forward to hearing them right now. Go ahead, Karen.
And I'm just, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Started blurting. Well, with facilities, like we can keep the topic and then just change the needs. that are there, like I'm thinking, you know, with the self-contained special ed classrooms, the facilities has to adapt to some of their physical, you know,
Yeah.
the needs in the class, and actually in the school too, are there ramps? Do they have, I mean, I'm guessing that they do.
I'm wondering if we need it at all, is I guess my point,
Facilities?
number 4, because we already have the other 2 committees that are addressing this. One came directly from this board goal. And
So
now
what-
adding the Smarty, right, that Rebecca brought up, and the
Inclusive and equitable.
number
yeah.
2, it's, the environment is like directly connected to that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Combined
Oh, I see what
goal.
you're saying.
Mhm.
Okay, yep.
But
Yeah.
what does the group think? Do we need it as a separate goal anymore? If we're going in the direction of this, you know, Smarty and making everything inclusive?
Is there another category it would go under if we decided to regroup? I'm noticing other districts tend to have broad topics, and then ours are very specific, which is great, because there were needs that they met, but I'm seeing broad topics such as academic, fiscal, safety, wellness, civics, things like that, and I'm wondering if there's areas that some of these topics could fit under, to keep it broad, sort of, but while maintaining the need. Because I do personally think that we do should have some sort of facilities update or upkeep on there, especially since there's future bond proposals that haven't been fully completed yet, and I want to make sure that that stays as a priority, but also maintaining the fiscal responsibilities as well that we need to. So I think finding a way to incorporate all of those different factors in a way that's best for the district is ideal.
Okay, so keep facilities, and then we would have to, are there any of the SMART measurable goals within there that
So
are
I
no
think
longer
if we keep
applicable?
facilities, it shouldn't just be like facilities, like it should be a goal, right?
Yeah,
So like,
right, to
there needs to be
ensure-
like a verb, right? So, I don't
Safe and
know.
secure
I don't know if this was the
environment, is what it
final,
says.
I feel like what I pulled up here was, I
Well,
mean,
it
should
says
we have a more
notes. It was just
final
notes.
version of this?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that has verbs in it, but like,
I think
like,
it's.
I did,
think
when I
it's
was
the
looking
S.
through this is what I found.
Yeah, no, I had the same
I
thing,
didn't
but I
look-
thought it was the S.
I didn't look further than this, so there, if I might be, I'll have it, but, you know,
I think we need to agree or come to a consensus on what are the main areas that we want to focus on in the next 3 to 5 years. It's pretty clear that we're going to have to focus on academics because of the Portrait of a Graduate is going to be new.
Agreed.
And the
it-
whole child.
It would make sense to me that finance, facilities, employees, like finance is another big topic that we have to be aware of. I think those are 2. I got academics and finance. I got the 2
Well,
big ones.
academics, when we combine 1 and 2, we can put academics in there.
I
Correct.
agree with that. I like those categories there.
Right, but the academics is more over,
Yeah.
rather than
So separate.
taking the 2 things that we have and putting academics underneath. You take academics and put it up top and put things underneath.
Well, I wasn't
it.
putting it underneath, I was embedding it, because that is focusing on the whole child. And what are you thinking about, what are you thinking about with academics, I guess, is what I,
Well, I don't want to get too far into tactics and measurement yet before we start talking about what we plan, like what's the goal? Is the goal of academics to provide the highest caliber experience possible for students? I'm just throwing that out there as like a starting point, okay? Is it, like prior you had closing the achievement gap? Well, I mean, that's kind of broad and really general, but I mean, it's also something you can look at and go, you're either successful or not. Academics is wide ranging. We have needs in the district in pre-K and special education, in dual enrollment that are coming through. We have this new Portrait of a Graduate. So there's lots of different things that can fall under that umbrella. So what are the items that the board, and it's not, I would argue it's not really the board necessarily, it's not just what we think. It's what our constituents and what other stakeholders see in this process, because this is a strategic plan. This is saying everything that we do for the next 3 to 5 years, or 99% of what you do, is mission-driven, value-driven towards this with measurable, achievable goals. So there's a lot wrapped up in each one of these things, but the question is, as a board, we're supposed to be up at 30,000 feet. So what is it, what are those things that we can then work with the superintendent, that he then will work with the district to be able to implement and move forward on? We know Portrait of the Graduate is coming. It's no secret. It's there. In fact, the state has said, hey, don't wait for us.
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
going now.
Yeah.
Right? So what does that look like? What are the steps that we're going to need to take to help Dan move forward on that, I guess is where I would start.
Did your old district have goals?
We had a strategic plan that had specifically mapped out individual items, but then it boiled down into essentially 5 goals.
Yeah.
You know, and they're sort of like the guiding principles of the decisions that you make as a board, of the things that we focus on as a district, of where you think it's going to take us 5 years from now, where you would like the district to be. And those are the items that you kind of, you shape in a way that will sort of provide a basic roadmap, and then we do the trip planning the rest of the way of how to get there.
I see that you pulled up the district priorities, so I'm just wondering how that's different, I guess is.
They're just pulled into 3, and the 3 district priorities are health, safety, and engaged, globally aware and connected, and intellectually challenged and academically accomplished. And then they're just students will and staff will.
Right. So we already have those.
Right. So these are kind of the goals of what you would like the district to be doing, to be working toward, gives me the roadmap of
Yeah,
what I'm
right.
working with our staff to do, to focus on. Because there's so many things to focus on, right? This kind of provides that overarching, here's the big concepts of what you're doing. And if you're talking about academics, right, it could be the Portrait of a Graduate, and how many pathways are we going to try to develop here at Guilderland for our students? Right, so that would be the individualized work that we're doing, but you would give some guidance on that, of what you would like to see, and we'll see if we can do that. So we would focus on the how, and you sort of focus
Right,
on the
what.
bigger idea of the what.
It would be helpful
Right.
if we already had the portrait of a graduate.
We do.
Well,
Requirements.
we do, for the
We
most
do,
part, we
yeah.
just don't know, like,
If you go, I'm on
how
the
they're gonna make us
website.
respond to what we're doing. I don't know.
Right.
We have like what they want, they just don't, they haven't really told us how they want us to, like,
Right.
tell us what we're doing with it.
Right, but I would argue, I would take the standpoint, I don't want to say argue, I would take the standpoint that at some level, the state is sending school boards a signal to say, come up with your plan. Tell us how you're going to measure these things in your students. What programs, what pathways, what do you see best for the students of your district? And then if they come back and say, you know what, we're going to use this metric and everybody's going to have to report that, then we're going to have to pivot and shift, and everybody's going to have to do that. It's not just going to be Guilderland. So I think, and that's kind of a trend that I've seen with state ed over the last few years, is some would call it more local control. And I don't want to say that out loud exactly like that because it depends on how you interpret that. But I think we as a district need to think about this Portrait of a Graduate and what does it mean for our students. And that really is not something that this group here decides by ourselves.
Right.
That's the
We
thing.
will have to gather information.
I've always found it kind of strange that, first of all, that some boards don't have goals at all, to be honest with you. That's not a requirement. But then additionally, that the one time that we did it, I don't think we really had stakeholder input. And I feel like that would have been useful. So I don't,
I think in some ways right now we do though, because of the superintendent search. We took a lot of stakeholder feedback on what they're looking for
touche.
from us. So we're coming right off of that, where that was like the biggest stakeholder input we've ever, we had like
True.
18 meetings. So I think that
We did, and we
we
still
are
have
coming
notes.
fresh off of that. It's probably the best time for us to be doing this.
Good
right?
Not to
idea.
mention the information from the Future Ready Task Force, is just everything that went out that we asked our community, what's important to you, what are you looking for?
And I would also say too that our superintendent is in the process of listening and collecting even more feedback. So I think we just have to digest it and figure out where this is going.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I could just say, after looking up Portrait of the Graduate, again, here, huge components of it involve being a global citizen and culturally aware, right? So I think, to go back to the Future Ready, so much of Future Ready incorporated that. It wasn't just facilities, it was also preparing our students to be global citizens. So I think, continuing to carry some of those themes is important. If, and that could, underneath that category, could continue the plan for internal improvements in the building as well.
So the 6 components in Portrait of a Graduate are academically prepared, creative innovator, critical thinker, effective communicator, global citizen, and, reflective and future focused.
Very nice.
So,
Yeah.
for all that's
Yes,
worth,
that's
I'm
what I'm
not
saying.
sure, but that's kind of like what they,
Well,
Should
you're right. So
we-
they've really
Yeah.
broken it down to be civic ready
Yeah.
and some of it is some of that access to alternative, like, or access to trades education
Mhm.
and just looking
Not
at
just cognition.
having all of the, that. So you're right, we really, they've asked us to kind of start to move forward on that. on
I
our
mean,
own.
it's almost like our goal, like a goal for academics is something around like continuing to ensure all students finish writing it.
I guess, I don't know where to begin, like where, does anyone have a suggestion? Rebecca, how to start in a good spot by combining 1 and 2.
combining 1 and 2, we said that, right?
Right.
Okay.
We have, I think this is, actually lends itself to being a good framework as well, what you just read us, the 6.
Mhm. The 6, I think it's components, I don't know, they use some word.
So maybe it's a matter of getting our ideas out there, then sort of spending
Seeing
some
where it
time.
fits under.
Right, spending some time putting them into categories and such. But I'm open to suggestions if,
But I do like what you said, provide opportunities for a diverse population. I think that is,
Yeah.
you could put that under any
Right.
category, academics, that would go perfect.
okay, so do we want to start with sharing our ideas? All right, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Yep.
The biggest thing that, again, just speaking for me, is mental health for not only our students, but for our staff. Because, I mean, it's on here anyways, but with all the changes that are going to be happening, all of our kids have so much more stress and pressure than we did. Our staff has so much stress and pressure. I really don't want to lose focus of giving the proper supports to all. That's kind of, I keep coming back to that, no matter what we do, just making sure, yes, I want to make sure our students are future ready. I want to make sure that our staff has what they need, but I also want to make sure that they're not like crying in the parking lot or worried that they're not going to like get a good grade or just like with both. And it's going to get worse. So I just want to make sure we don't lose focus on that.
One of the things I've always struggled with is, and I agree with you completely, that's one of the entire reasons I ran for board, is I was concerned with mental health at the middle school, for instance, among students. But it's hard to measure it because the middle school in particular, a place that, in my own family, in my own personal experience, and again, I can't speak for the entire district, has been very painful in terms of bullying experiences. But every year, we hear that they've won the award for, I don't even remember what it's called, but basically that they're doing a good job tackling bullying and that it's like a school to watch and stuff. So that contradiction has always been difficult for me. And so it leaves me wondering, yes, I totally agree. How do we measure it? How do we quantify that? And there's no answer. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I think something that was mentioned last year to me was that we have a policy within the district, and we're supposed to share our program on bullying, yet we don't have a specific program to give. And so it states that we're supposed to do one thing, but we don't have that. Maybe just as part of this goal, like one of the measurements, we actually have a programming, because it says here, like programming and building, such as sources of strength, bullying, like actually doing a program, like looking at an actual program and really concentrating on it.
Like beyond like P2 or whatever it's called.
Yes.
P2 squared, whatever. it's
So
called.
we would set a goal, but then Dan would go back and with the team come back to us about what that program
Yes.
was though. But
Yep.
our goal would be that this is a priority for us.
Because we would have no, that's
Right,
not
right,
our,
yeah.
yeah.
Great.
Okay. And I think it could be potentially measurable, because, like, you could look at referrals to discipline across the buildings. You could refer to, referrals to the counselor across the buildings, suspensions. Like there, I think is data that you could.
Student reporting.
The-
the
Yeah,
problem
student
is-
reporting,
Accruing.
family reporting, yeah.
But-
It's something.
Yeah.
some
It's
data.
something, right? But it misses all the kids that get bullied and don't say anything because they don't want their lives to get worse, is my concern. I don't know if there's such a thing as like an anonymous survey or something, but I kind of feel like we're missing.
Well,
Those
I know
kids.
Farnsworth has sent out, and I can say this just because I'm on their building cabinet, they sent out over the last couple of years anonymous surveys where we don't know. And we've heard the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. Like, so we're hearing it and they're making changes based on the information that they're getting from these blind surveys.
So I guess if
Maybe
it's a board
that's-
goal, then that
Yeah.
would be something that would be shared out, or, that we would be
Yeah.
following closer as a board than necessarily just at the building level. But
Is that where the board should be at that level? Or do we need to come up and have something a bit broader and then make sure that that's a focus within that broader category?
No, I agree. I think that's just the only way to be measurable to us is reviewing their feedback as a board later. Like, you're right, like having the broad goal, but then how to measure it would be like seeing
Up
the
to
change
But the-
in their data.
Right, but what I'm saying is that measurement comes after. Like, it's not, mental health is just one piece of something, health and wellness, right? For students and employees, right? So by just saying mental health, you're only focusing on one piece of broader things that would need to be addressed.
I agree with you, Peter. I think it should be broad, like, to promote the well-being across the district. And then it could be students, it could be faculty, it could be staff, and it could be specific measures under each subcategory.
Great.
But I think you're right. I think it should be broad, and it shouldn't just be like mental health of students or bullying prevention.
Right.
It should be like a broad.
Because both of those things are important.
Yeah, right.
But in order to get from goal into measurable, we have to come up out of the specifics before we start saying, because what potentially ends up happening is you get a little too hyper focused on one or two things, and we miss that larger picture. And that's what I would say as a board, we want to ensure that the whole picture, as much of that picture that we can provide, is under continuous improvement, continuous oversight, whatever language you want to use there.
I think we were just throwing out bits and pieces.
Yeah, I think we're just
Yeah.
throwing out
We're going-
ideas.
yeah.
We're not really fine tuning stuff,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Because
yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
grabbing this
Right.
from the such as is.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think she was saying like mental health is going to be its own. She just wants mental health to be a
To
focus.
be up there.
Yeah.
Right, but that's exactly what I'm saying is so mental health is a piece. The larger piece that we are talking about is health and well-being.
Right.
We're agreeing with you, Peter.
Right, we're
Right.
agreeing
We're
with you,
agreeing,
yes, but we're
but-
not getting into the weeds yet, right?
So what are the other broad categories?
We
What are the
haven't
other-
defined.
We're not
them
doing
yet.
broad
This
categories
is why
yet, we're
maybe
just
the-
doing ideas right
Yeah.
now, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe
Okay.
if we get the ideas out, then we can group them together, like you said, and come up with a big.
Okay.
But hey, it may not go that way. We'll try. I'm being honest. Okay, Rebecca, did you want to go next, or do we not want to go in order?
Did Kim went? and
Oh,
Peter
I'm-
went?
I'm-
Yeah. So, I mean, I like the idea of broad well-being as one goal. I think that is actually a nice goal for 2025 forward. I also really like the academic outcomes or academic opportunities
Provide
goal.
opportunities, yeah.
Because I think it could be defined across all the buildings, and I think it could incorporate all of our learners. So I think, and I also think it could bring into your community schools,
Yeah.
both of those two things. So the academic piece and the well-being piece. So that could be like funneled into each goal. So the only other goal that I came up with before the meeting was enhanced communication, but I almost think that that's a little too specific. I think it needs to be sort of broader about facilitating feedback and communication across the district. And then
Yeah.
having something more specific under that rubric.
Yeah.
Those are my ideas.
I think, I like that.
Same.
Facilitating what? You say so many.
Communication, maybe? I don't know.
Feedback and communication. I like the feedback part.
Yeah.
I held on to that part of it. So, well, because like, I think it was great during the search when we were getting all that feedback and stuff, but it's not like
We
we're
should have
doing that all
had
the
those
time.
notes to, I
You know what I mean?
forgot,
We
we
do,
have
right,
that
yeah.
wealth of all that information.
Oh, it's not in our drives anymore?
I think the person who shared it with us is no longer on
Oh,
staff, so we'll find it.
She retired.
It might be in my database
Figure
of
it
Google
out.
documents that I could search here.
Excellent.
I don't know. But-
Rebecca, was that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Tara?
Well, I'm very interested in investigating a community school. I feel that, it's evidence-based strategy to enhance learning and equity, to reduce barriers, and to provide well-beings for all our families and students that need that support right now. And I also feel like a lot of the things that we're talking about, as Rebecca said much more eloquently than I'm going to say, will definitely help. I think that they could be the way to get a lot of these things done with well-being of all students and staff, and, making sure that kids are academically thriving, or helping with the achievement gaps, helping with, CTE students, I just feel like, and I know that, the person that could come and talk to us, she had set up a community school in Albany, and we can go visit there, we can see how they started, and be a nice way to connect also with the community, because Amanda Beadle has the caring closet. We could definitely incorporate that, even maybe the library board, maybe we can use their facility for something, I don't know, but I mean, it's like a blank slate that we can really fine-tune things to benefit our district. So-
Yeah, the library has a library of things,
A library of
which could
things.
really be beneficial to that program.
Yep.
So I actually
I know it's a
would,
big undertaking, but,
I would actually really like to learn more about the community school. Just since we're talking about it, is anyone opposed to the speaker coming and presenting so we can learn a little bit more about it?
I'm heartily for it.
Cool, so we'll.
yeah, okay, so I
put
can
that on the
contact her.
docket. Great. One of the things I'm curious about is, so keep in mind, it's been like 2 decades since I learned about community schools, and it was from the public health perspective, so it was like the focus was on student health centers, but I do recall reading that some of the teachers, at least in the rural areas here, felt like they were suddenly being asked to do more, and so I'm just wondering if that's the case with community schools, and so that's one of the things I want to ask or learn about. Will it increase the load in any way for teachers or current?
It shouldn't, I haven't heard that.
It was things that seemed relatively benign, like helping the younger students keep track of when their appointments were, things like that. Okay. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't know,
Just
and
wondering.
maybe in some districts that is the case, but we could always make sure.
Right, no, so I'm just curious, again, it's been 20
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Now
And
there's
things
a lot
evolve
more
too,
of
but
them.
I have not heard, but I can definitely ask about that.
Oh, yeah, when she present, or they
Yeah,
present,
yeah.
I'll just ask.
I had some very basic questions about community schools that I kind of got answered, and I'm like, well, how does one start a community school? What do we even do? And the answer is to have somebody come speak to the board about what community schools is. But it seems the general consensus is there is a person, a staff member that we may or may not need to hire, that would be a community schools point of contact. That would be the person that would start with an assessment of our schools and see where the biggest need is. Say it's, we talked recently about which the most underprivileged school or whatever. Everybody thought it was Altamont, but it turned out being Westmere, I think.
yes.
So we have this person. It might take hiring somebody. It might not. I'm not sure the specifics of that. Be like, okay, let's do an assessment. Okay, it's Westmere is the most in-need school. Let's create a process around, or like, let's create a community school at Westmere and see what they need and then start like small. Is it that they need a dentist to come in once a year? Okay, your coordinator is going to coordinate a dentist to come in once a year. Is it that they need more
There's like a consulting firm.
yeah, I don't know. I think it all starts with the point of contact that Tara has
Contact
to,
point. Yeah,
to
okay, that's
come in
Karen,
and kind
yeah.
of, how does one even think about beginning this? And
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that everybody's like, no. I don't think anybody's going to say, no, this is a really bad idea.
Right.
Like, let's not do this. But
Yeah.
like, the question is how do we do it? Do we have the resources to do it? What kind of,
Very abstract to me.
what resources do we need to put in place
Right.
to do it? And I think that all starts with a conversation that I'm very interested in hearing
Yeah.
her presentation.
The coordinator is the key person, because that person would be talking to all the healthcare people, would be reaching out to businesses, maybe the laundromat, people can go and do their clothes or figure out a way.
Perhaps we can go to the Albany Community School and
Yes,
walk
absolutely.
in the door, just like we did at Queensbury years
Yeah,
ago.
We should do
And
a field trip like we did
Yeah.
before.
field trip
Yeah.
and be like,
Cool.
Yeah,
with our own eyes, what could this do for our students? And
yes.
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure nobody's going to be like, no, we don't need that. We could be like, oh yeah, this is how it could fit into all to
Do
Gilderland
we
schools.
envision doing the field trip before the presentation or after?
No, I would think after.
I think
Maybe after.
after, yeah.
Even though the trip could generate questions?
Well, we can
So
ask
we are back.
questions when we're there.
Okay.
Or maybe we could do like a Zoom meeting or something
Yeah.
after.
As a follow-up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you mind scheduling a field trip for the board?
Well, let's.
Well, let me talk to
Present.
Karen
Yeah.
first, and
Present
I'll
her
get back
first.
to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go
Yeah.
as the next step.
Sounds good. Did you want to go next?
I had thrown out my special ed idea that Rebecca also better, she probably
know,
articulated it
right?
for me, thank you, appreciate that.
like
She's shaking her head
ChatGPT.
no,
No,
but
you're-
she
no,
did.
literally, you're like
She's like,
ChatGPT.
yes, and, yeah. But also what Peter had mentioned, a broad one on finance, because with changes and in enrollment and projected changes in enrollment and so many questions around funding, changes and concerns, I think that this is a time where we need to, we're always, it's a big part of the work we do is monitoring district finances, but it's a time that I really think we need to have a goal to look at that, and if Rebecca would word it for me, that'd be amazing.
I'm catching what you're drifting, but yes.
I don't know, to marry fiscal responsibility with progressive action.
Oh, see, that's what I was looking for.
Responsibility.
Dr. Scrabble. Strike together.
Not,
No,
not
thank
going
you.
budget to budget, but having like an actual
Plan.
plan to,
Yes.
not like this year, we need this. Well, tell us
So
that
we're gonna
3
rob
years
from
ago.
Peter
Let's-
to pay Paul, or,
Right, but this is what we're doing now, is like,
Right.
what's important for the next 3 to 5 years that we want to put money towards?
I'd like to see us plan or somehow have some kind of heads up or potential heads up for tax tertiary issues. Because that was a horrible way to
that-
start. The past 5 years have been really rough.
So
expect
I,
more.
I was late because I was at an audit and finance meeting for the county, and it's not looking good.
That was too vague. As in, we're gonna do reassessments or,
From a tax tertiary standpoint or just from a finance?
Just from a finance
oh, okay. I thought you
standpoint.
meant from a tax tertiary.
No.
I'm like, you met with
Yeah,
Pyramid
no.
and you got bad news. Okay, all right.
No,
No.
well, based on past reassessments, it's been painful, but we'll see what happens. But based on, we've been talking about a fiscal cliff for the last year, and it's coming, we're here. We're at that point. Federal funding is about to basically dry up, and the county's gonna be affected, the state's gonna be affected. It's we're gonna have to look at programming cuts next, I think, based on the trends.
The county is gonna have to look at programming cuts, is what you're saying?
All of the money is trickling off that we've been seeing. So grants are drying up. That's the first thing to go, right? Like discretionary spending. And
How much of our budget is made up of federal grants at the moment? I'm not.
not a
sure.
lot,
It's not a lot.
but
It's
if,
like-
but a lot of that money comes through the state.
Yeah.
So it's really dependent on what the state decides and how they decide to cut and where they decide to cut. So we don't know yet where that's gonna be, but we're seeing at a local level massive changes that are gonna just continue for the next few years. Because we know that we are most likely, I mean, this is not a definite, but we are most likely at the beginning of a recession, of a massive recession.
Yeah, visit any grocery store.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, there's a concentration of wealth issue here, right? And we're seeing more and more of that be talked about in mainstream media and in other media sources as well. So we just have to be prepared. I think we've all known that for a while.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But we're seeing it this week because budget's due tomorrow from the county executive, so.
And you're still presenting a new update, which is that now the county, it's like very real for the county. I don't know, I knew it was real at the state level. That sucks. Thanks.
Giving us hives, thanks.
Thanks. Chest pain.
Sorry.
Angina.
I mean, believe me,
true.
it's,
I know.
it's,
No,
it's been the
needs
last,
to be
2
discussed,
weeks
but-
for me,
yeah.
but yeah.
Great.
Sorry.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Meredith?
I'll wait my turn.
Sure, okay, well, Peter, we skipped you.
I'm not ready, thank you.
Uh-oh,
Oh,
Still listening.
that's concerning, Peter. Okay, all right. Dan, do you want to say anything?
No, not currently.
Sure. You want to roll your eyes at us?
No?
Okay.
Are you done?
I was done.
Okay.
Are
Are you gonna go?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kelly. You want me to go? I don't care.
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, go.
It's my goal is something I've wanted to do for quite a long time is incorporate universal pre-K into
Yay.
our public school program. Like, so I think there's lots of steps we could take towards that if we include it as a 5 to 10 year goal, including like a small pilot program. You know, we've had this decrease in enrollment in kindergarten with sections, you know, becoming less. Perhaps we could look to having 1 or 2 sections of pre-K next year instead of, or, you know, UPK rather than kindergarten. Like, I think there's lots of things that we could do around this. I think the funding is there. It's not going to go away for UPK. The problem is initiating the program.
plastic.
And in my very limited research that I've kind of looked at, there's grants currently. There, you know, there's things to research, there's timelines, there's all of, you know, deadlines for incorporating, initializing a UPK program in the public school. But that's like things to look at in the hopefully near future if it's something that we want to do. And kind of looking back on our enrollment things, I think we have somewhere around 320 kindergartners that came in last year as I went through and looked in. So assuming, so we say we would need 300 UPK slots over the, you know, I don't know, I think a short-term goal, if this is something that, I got like the North-South people like, seem like they are interested in having a UPK program in Guilderland. I certainly know the community is, because I've heard it quite a bit. We could move forward and be like, okay, a goal could be in 10 years, we want to have a full UPK program with facilities for it and teachers, certified teachers for it, and the staff. But you move it back to 5 years and be like, okay, in 5 years, we could try half of our students. For next year, maybe we try a UPK classroom, or the next year, the 27, 28. Can we look at the grants and see if they're still available? See if they continue to be available the next year? What the deadline is, something that Rachel probably, you know, pull down pretty quickly and see if it's a feasibility. How much money it would take to start up the program. It might not be a lot at all. And it would increase really our district, like, outlook quite a bit. I think the portrait of a graduate could start at age 4, you know? And I think it would really be a good place to move forward for Guilderland Central School District. So that's my pitch for UPK. I
I've
think everybody
always
knows
loved
it's
that
valuable,
idea.
everybody
Yeah.
wants it. Is it something that the board thinks we should put on our plan? And then today or later on, we could hash out potential goals for that. Or, and challenges, which I know there's going to be a lot of pushback, I'm sure, but we can work through that from the admin and see like, okay, what is our challenge? Is it something that is really a challenge or is not really a challenge?
I'm
So-
supportive of exploring it and putting it on as a,
Yeah, that's something I would like to explore and I've wanted for
does it
quite
fit
a
in
while.
with communities? Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
School too, I feel like it does.
UPK and the community schools is really, I think it's like a similar thought process.
It almost feels Montessori, which I like, our Montessori
Love my
experience.
Montessori experience. But, I mean, that's not, Montessori is not public
I know.
UPK, you know, it's, you know, so, but it's just, that's a different construct altogether, but,
I liked when my kids went to the Woodland Hill, like they started with the 18 months, you know,
oh yeah,
pre-K. and
my kids
then
went there too. and
Yeah, and moved their way.
It was great. But, you
Anyway.
know, it's just, I think the investment in children at that age is,
It's a critical period.
I
really
think it
something
goes
that would
beyond
benefit our
that. I
community.
think, yeah, I think it goes beyond that. It's also helps in the vein of childcare,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
It's
that
a-
was-
It's really a universal childcare program, so it,
and get people back to work if they
Yeah.
need to, you know?
it alleviates a huge expense from working families.
And it would make us a draw, you know. in
Oh,
this-
100%.
Yeah.
I fully support it. I think we should
Yeah,
definitely move
me
towards
too.
that.
Great. Does
So the-
anyone not support it? Great, look at you,
Concerns?
Kelly. Hey.
Slid it in. But I mean, you have to add bits and pieces of it into all of our goals.
Right.
I'm not saying we need to build a new building. I don't think we do. But
But
the
because we can't
the
afford
beauty
that.
of it is that we could also incorporate it if there's, you know, high school, you know, early education programs that they could
Oh,
incorporate into like teaching, kind of like the Grow Your Own program. and
that's
get
Oh,
the
yeah.
teachers
Oh,
involved
That's
or-
great, yeah.
I took a child development class when I was in high school that
They're
had
doing that
had
now. They're
kids,
doing that.
yeah.
They're going to elementary schools
Yeah.
and,
Yep.
and doing, you know,
They just
couple
brought that up
classes
at the
there.
Pine Bush meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
So it's just a
It's
kind of
also
a,
inclusive and equitable,
Yes,
right?
it
Yes.
is, yeah.
so it's kind of my pet project has been for several years now. I wanted to turn in Mike Laster will scold me, but I wanted to turn that, the old DO district office into a pre-K for like 5 years. And
I
everybody's
love
like,
that idea.
No, we can't. And you can't because it's.
It's like
Isn't it like-
asbestos ridden.
Yeah, I know, but I see it
Falling
every day,
down.
but I don't see it asbestos-filled building. I see
Yeah.
a pre-K sitting on
There
our
were-
property.
Yeah.
You
There
know
were
what I
two
mean?
ideas. There was
I was
coffee
told no
house
for
and
years,
pre-K.
and rightfully so, but it's still,
I mean, we're gonna tear it down. We could build something else there.
I don't think we need to build something. I think,
No, I don't think so either. If
I
the
think-
projections are going the way
Right.
I,
things are, we
House
may
it
have
in the
space in the
existing.
elementary buildings.
Yeah, you
people
just
said
have,
there
I mean, there are
was- people say maybe
questions
I don't want
about
principals freaking out.
legality, right?
Right.
people said there was no space for years as well, and that might be,
Yeah.
that might be a real concern, but I don't know if they've actually, people have actually dug deep and done the analysis to be like, no, there is not enough room for,
It's definitely worth the investigation.
Sure.
there's probably not enough room
Yeah.
for 300 preschoolers, like, on our campus.
Right, but if you talk to
got it,
our
but-
CPSE, you know,
That's what I was gonna say.
accessing early intervention services is getting harder, not easier.
Yes.
And
Right.
if they're
100%.
centrally located
Yep.
within the district, we might be able to, you know, have an easier time providing opportunities for our early intervention services.
That's what I was going to say, 100%. Yep, took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, special education is an area too that I feel that we need to incorporate. And I think what you're speaking of, and the community school as well, filter right into that, as well as the inclusivity factor that we talked about with the whole child. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the points, pretty much that my feelings have been mentioned, so I don't be redundant, but I do believe that the areas of mental health, wellness, academics, and also special education, that can be some of those underlying areas. Are the whole child, I think, is still a significant piece. And so just to say also, the portrait of the graduate, I think, is something that maintaining that global citizen goal. Because, even starting in pre-K and giving students this opportunity through community school measures or other inclusivity factors can make true global citizens, because you have students prepared for the world, they can give back. So I think that there's definitely a common thread through all of that.
Thank you. Mayor, you have more?
Came so quickly. I think all these ideas are amazing. I mean, I think I've always been very vocal about the need for community outreach, right? And I think that most of these ideas are in that vein of community outreach and building a stronger community, building bridges. And I think, I've been very vocal in the last year about Guilderland does not have like a central space, right? We don't have like a main street. We don't have a place where we all congregate. So our municipal buildings kind of play that role for us. And we've been starting to utilize programming within the high school to do outreach for the senior community. And Blanca was spearheading that last year. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see the board back programming that gets information into the hands of parents. So whether that be, a joint effort with the three boards to get information on programming, information on services into the hands of parents. I think that's a really important thing that, we just need to put a little bit more effort into, just to make sure that people even know what services are available currently and that they can keep their finger on it for services that become available in the future, like maybe community schools. The biggest hurdle I think we're gonna face is transportation. We're, a district that has rural areas that do not have access to public transportation. I think that also will be a UPK issue, right? Are we gonna use Guilderland school buses to bus kids to UPK? Are they going to be eligible for free lunch and breakfast? Like all of these questions are also fiscal questions. And how are we best going to serve the community, both fiscally and in services, and make sure that our path moves forward? I liked what Peter said about overarching themes. However, I think from a goal-setting standpoint, I actually think the opposite is true. If you want to have a measurable goal that you can actually achieve in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you actually have to set something much smaller than an overarching theme. And that, I think, is something that we need to discuss. What are the goals under each of these categories that are the most important for year one, the most important for year two, if we achieve year one? And so on and so forth. Because without doing that goal setting, we can't really communicate what we're trying to accomplish in the next however many years. So for me, I always think that, a small reachable goal is a good start, and then have like a 5-year goal that within 5 years, if we've completed these 2 or these 3 steps, then it might be an achievable goal. But I think we've talked about some of those small things a little bit. And I would like to delve deeper into bullying. I think that, these are schools. We all know hormones are raging in every single level. These kids are growing up, some have huge parental involvement, some do not. Some, already have really developed senses of self, some don't. Some have gross empathy that is just unimaginable even to us, right? And some don't. So for me, I want to look at bullying from a standpoint of what is the biggest issue that kids get bullied about, and how do we combat that? So, or what are the top three issues? And from a health and wellness standpoint, I think that like zeroing in on those issues and then maybe having coursework that goes along or presentations from individuals or whatever it may be that addresses those things, whether it be a physical difference, a cultural difference, whatever it may be, addressing those things and normalizing it in that space can do so much to alleviate some of those bullying issues. So I'd like to look at that personally. I was watching this really interesting talk about children and child development, where the individual, and from an anthropology background, this really spoke to me. Why do kids at like 13 years old think their parents don't know anything? Did you watch that?
I know, the circle group,
Yeah.
the circle group training talks
Yeah,
about this.
it's basically so that, it's this leftover anthropological need to leave the herd to avoid incestuous relationships. So you think that your parents know nothing. Well, think about it. Back, like you needed to go to another tribe or another.
Yep. Sorry. It's true. It's true.
So, but other parents, other people who are adults, they listen to them. And I remember distinctly going to other people's houses and listening to their parents and being like, your parents are so smart. And then being like, no. And then I went home and I was like, Mom, you don't know anything. And I remember that. And I think that we can utilize that.
So that whole teaching comes in circle group training, and it even speaks to the anthropological idea of sitting in a circle and tapping into the tribal concepts. Right, so the reason why their peers are more dominant is because they need to go out and find their own families. I've been a huge supporter of circle training for that reason.
I've witnessed now, you've brought it up a few times.
Yeah, because it breaks down barriers.
100%.
It's an equity issue, right? You hear someone else's experience and all of a sudden you feel empathy, you feel compassion for them. And you connect with them on a level that you would never.
We changed our seating.
Well, I'm not
There you
surprised.
go.
That's right.
See?
So,
Thank you. Okay, Peter.
How do you follow up to that, Peter?
As a district, we do a lot of things really well. But there's a lot of things that we need to do better at. And so as I look ahead to the next 3 to 5 years, we need to ensure that not only is the district fiscally responsible, for whatever that means, that can mean lots of different things, that our facilities continue to be at the forefront of what we talk about, that we take care of our employees. But for me, the most important part is the academic experience. And whether that's through Portrait of a Graduate or whether those conversations lead to other things, we're going to need to address dual enrollment. So college classes at the high school level. And we need to ensure that our students have as many opportunities as our suburban peers.
When you say address it, meaning we need more?
We need more.
Okay.
We
Okay.
need a lot more.
Because we have Syracuse, we have Schenectady County,
We have
Hudson Valley.
we have a handful
um,
compared to many of our peers.
Okay,
We also need to really take a hard look at what's happening in gifted education, and how we help parents communicate with the district and the district communicate with the parents. So it's a lot of what we've talked about. I'd like us to really look at schedule, not just daily schedule, but yearly calendar. I'd like us to look at things like, because of some of the regulations the state has in place about when it gets, and I know a lot of our classrooms are climate controlled, so it impacts us less. But ensuring that we offer an educational experience that isn't what all of us experienced, but what is actually preparing students for today. I'll tell you right now, we're not teaching executive functioning in our schools. And that's a pretty bold statement to make, but we're not doing it. We are not consistently and intentionally having students develop executive functioning. We leave it to chance in a lot of places. And it's not just Guilderland, let me be clear. It's across the board. So the things that, for me, I'm still up here, and then we can get down into it. I think universal pre-K, absolutely 100%. If we're losing enrollment at those levels, then that's one way, hopefully, that we can continue to maybe circle back to that and see how it can work and developing that plan. So I think that's excellent. But I think for me, we're a solid district, but we need to achieve higher than where we are right now. Whether that's through test scores, whether that's through the experience in athletics, whether that's, I heard another thing about athletics that, we, in some ways, we're limiting participation in athletics because of the number of jerseys that we have in sports that can handle larger rosters with the coaching staffs we already have. So that's not a now conversation, but it's those types of things that we should be all encompassing in what we're doing as we're moving ahead.
I have I have two questions. What do you mean by look at the yearly calendar?
You want to extend the school year?
No,
What could we do with the
no,
yearly?
I'd like to see us look at what the yearly calendar is and see why our district is in school one of the latest districts, if not the latest, out of all of our peers, and why that is. I'd like us to look at, if we really start to look at learning, our public school students in the month of October, how many 5-day week do they have?
None, right?
I think it's still based on Capital Region BOCES, though. I think that
It
most
is,
suburban
yeah.
council has similar end of the year calendar, at least in
So
general.
I still think we need to look at it.
Yeah, it's a regional calendar, but then individual districts pick holidays that they will recognize that we vote on, and then that has an impact
That's how we
on
ended
the
up with
schedule.
Rosh
But we,
Hashanah on the first day of school.
There's a regional
Diwali.
calendar, and then we add, as a vote, what other holidays we are recognizing.
But even given that, it usually balances out, like different districts choose different days, and then in the end, it seems to still correspond towards this end.
It's all the
same.
number of days, right? We all
We
have the same number of
185
days.
days, that's
180.
80, sorry, 180,
180,
that's
yeah.
non-negotiable.
Right.
It's like you're counting.
Start in September and end in June.
Yep.
You cannot have days in July or August. Except potentially superintendent's days in August when Labor Day falls in a weird place, but.
I think there's
But I
benefit
don't-
to be in line with the other school districts
I know.
and not be the outlier. But if there's some kind of specific reasoning behind, hey, I want to get rid of February
Yeah.
break, I've been telling people.
Right, yeah.
You all hate me, I
Yeah,
know.
no.
But I'm like, we just got off of winter,
You
now
know,
we need
like
another
snow
break.
days, or
Well, we go to a region,
But like, it's a regional
calendar.
thing. It's-
Because of, part of it is career tech ed.
Yeah, there's a reason for it. I know, understand that. I'm just telling you that
It is-
I hate it.
but our-
like,
Sorry.
I'm just curious, the mechanism by which to look at it and what changing the days off would affect. And if there's some sort of study, I'm interested in hearing. I'm curious of that. And just to get it on the record, I'm not sure, what does develop executive functioning mean also?
So executive functioning is your ability to stay organized and plan and keep track of your assignments, for example, your decision-making.
I think that's kind of a broad brush when you say it's not consistently developing and teaching, because I know that there are teachers who do that. I mean, but I'm just saying that it's kind of a broad brush, teachers are helping kids do that. So I don't know, I just take issue with
I think
that.
if we're going to talk about executive function, we have to then talk about other things too, which, you know, I mean, it brings in a lot of questions. I mean, we've all had these discussions before of like, you know, our kids don't learn banking skills in school, and that is a life skill. I mean, just basic life skills, right? Having a community school can benefit greatly, especially we know for a fact that homes that don't have those skills, the children are far less likely to learn them, whether they're taught in schools or not, right? So the community school can break down some of those barriers, but you know, just these basic life skills, I think every single one of us has talked about this at some point, saying this needs to now be taught in schools. We know from an equity standpoint, not every kid gets this.
I think-
So how do we address that? I mean, that's a big goal, though. That's not like
We
a
do,
one-year
yeah.
goal.
Which I think
We
that
do
would
have
fall.
a course
sorry.
at the high school. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I
But
was-
one course is not
Right.
enough.
One of the things I wanted to open up to everybody, and I didn't ask you this first, but, I've been on this committee, no, this part, and I'm changing something up.
okay.
There's a committee at the high school through the business department, that I've sat on, and it's not one that we share out as a board, but, Seema was on it with me, Blanca's on it, and it's very interesting. Maybe we should look at a format of us taking turns attending, because it is,
You would really
our
like it,
civics
Peter.
education. There's someone representing that. We have people from our internal CTE, the chamber is there. And it's all of the things that are happening at the high school for the things we're talking about.
never
They
knew
do
any of those things
interviews.
existed.
Oh,
We meet with the
cool.
chamber and like it's job opportunities, it's all this thing that
Amazing.
we're talking about. But it's not a board committee that we share out on or that we've rotated. So
It's
it
like
might
a
be
secret
something that we
committee.
could like, I'd be willing to share my seat
Me
if others
too.
would like to
If
attend.
people want to rotate. And then
Yes,
you can just fill us
please.
in
It
on what
just
you talked about.
fills you in a little bit on what's more happening at the high school, because it's fascinating,
Yeah,
you know,
that's a
all the
great
work
idea.
that they're doing. And it's nice, it would give other people a chance to connect with the chamber and.
I learned about what we offer. I was
Yeah.
shocked at
Yeah,
how much I
I-
learned just in
yes.
one meeting. I was
What's
like,
it
we do
called?
that?
What's the committee called?
It's,
Business?
business,
Blah, blah,
blah,
blah.
it's just like the.
Joan, okay, Joan McGrath.
I think that would fall under the category of portrait of a graduate. I think executive
Yeah.
functioning to what you're talking about is still all part of
Absolutely.
that, and I think that's
Yeah.
why the state is moving in that direction. So I don't think you're alone in noticing that, right? And I think that these ideas, this committee, and also even, aspects of what we've talked about would fall under that category of, the portrait of the graduate. What that really means, we can call it the whole child, whatever the group decides. But to me, I think that is part of the civic mindedness that we speak to. I do think that, the community schools, I think, is a very great idea. I support it. But I also think that we don't know that much about it, and I don't know how well it will be able to cover all these things. I think that, it's a big ask for it. I think at the very least, I love the aspects of bringing in health services to students. Like the basic needs to me are the priorities at this point. From that point forward, like reading about it, it's amazing. There's so many things that it does offer. But at the very least, having the goal of wanting to achieve these things and then finding ways to accomplish that, I would agree.
Well, we could say, if we decide to go community schools, we could do like what Kelly was saying with UPK. Say it's like a 3 to 5 year plan down the road. I mean, we're just learning about it now. This is not going to happen
Right.
overnight, but I do
Tomorrow,
think it's a
right.
very valuable service, and right now there's still funding. And not only that, like the whole funding piece aside, I just know that it's really helped a lot of families.
So just a question, are you envisioning community schools as its own goal or as part of a different goal? Like, for example, wellness or,
Well, it could be a part of it. That's why I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Like how to incorporate it, because it can help with wellness. It could help with academics. It could help with getting, kids to the dentist so they don't come to school with a big old hole in their tooth, UPK. It can help with all these different things. So it's like, I don't know, an umbrella? Is that what you want to
Those
call
are
it?
two independent goals that I would like to see, if we agree on it, as a goal. In 10 years from now, we want to have a community
And I liked
school.
what you said about maybe starting with one of our 7 buildings and
Because,
then.
like, I could share my white paper if you'd like, which I wrote today. We could start working, like, okay, like, in, take UPK, we have 300 kids. If we agree that this is something we want to go down the path, in 7 years, we want to be able to have all of our kids all of our 4-year-olds in a public school, UPK, on our campus, or however we could do it.
Right.
If it's a BOCES thing, if it's the library, I have no idea.
And if it's
Everybody-
on
if-
campus, there are students, so they would get the busing, they would get the free lunch
But
and
that's
breakfast, so
the thing,
a whole
there's going to
piece.
have to be a committee or
Yeah. Oh, absolutely,
You know, like,
yeah.
but there's like, if
I
we
mean, that is
decide
a
we're gonna
fiscal
have to-
issue, though.
like, it's a
Like,
big,
That's
that's
what I'm
A
saying.
huge fiscal
This is something that.
thing that we have to
that the
discuss.
A
Yeah.
committee
Maybe.
will have
We'll
to
see.
like take a look at. It might.
We'll see
I
what's
don't-
there.
There's a great, I mean, it just starts like,
Start small.
step one, let's start a committee.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, and then step two is like, if that committee thinks that we could, transport 20 extra kids next year, then let's start, and we have the funding and we could hire
Right.
one teacher or co-teach, I don't know what the words are, right?
Yeah, yeah.
One person that somebody's qualified already to do it.
Yeah,
Let's do a lottery and see what happens. Like that's step, goal number 2 for 2 years down the road.
right,
But we could have measurable goals,
yeah.
and that could be its own thing.
So I
First we
think, I
set a
envision
goal,
us,
right?
yeah, I was
We do a
gonna
similar
say-
thing with community schools. So that's why I think those two, out of like, we have lots of broad topics of focus on health, mental health, and all these things are important, yes, but you could,
How
out of
do you
this
address
meeting,
it?
so far, we could take 2 very specific goals and have very specific timelines and endpoints to them.
Are they, I hear everything you just said, but what I'm wondering is if they're actually not tactics in achieving a goal such as providing a comprehensive educational experience to pre-K through 12th grade, or that's not the right language, mind you, but something of that nature, right? To say, we're gonna have this quality, we're gonna focus on academics this way, and in order to make sure that we're all encompassing, this is the first tactic, UPK. The second tactic, and not in rank order, just 1, 2.
I don't care
would
how,
be
I don't
community
care
school.
how
Then you would have.
Yeah,
picture of it, it's great. However we want to do it, we can have
Yeah.
umbrellas, you can have sub-goals, you could have other,
Yeah.
but what I'm hearing so far is there's at least these 2 type of things that we could have a timeline for this and a timeline for that, but, and I think it falls under, yes, it all falls under the portrait of the graduate
Yeah.
type of
Yeah, I
And-
feel like,
goal.
And then I also want to circle back to your question about what do I mean by calendar?
Yeah.
Your comment about February break is exactly part of the reason I'm asking about calendar. I get regional calendars, I understand all that, but those regional calendars are based off of systems that have been around for a long time. And are they best serving students today? There are plenty of schools that our parents in this very district and many other districts choose to send their students to that do not follow this calendar and are still meeting what New York State says needs to happen. So just because we've always done it a certain way, I'm asking us to consider, is that the best thing for our Guilderland students?
So we
Okay.
sort of ran into that a little bit when we talked about, oh, no, did I cut you off? Sorry, Tara.
no, it's okay, go ahead, go ahead.
I couldn't tell if it was like an amen or.
No.
I forgot what I was saying now. No, so when we were talking about starting a later start time, right? We had a whole committee that Rebecca was on. It makes sense in terms of development. It seems like what we should do, I still maintain that actually that's one of the things I was gonna revisit.
Revisit. this.
Literally, that's one of my things I'm waiting to say.
Okay, good.
And our problem always came down to suburban council sports. Because we can't add on time at the end of the day, because we, to some extent, are dependent on those relationships and those schedules. And so I just foresee, to your point, I agree with you. I get what you're saying. But we always seem to run into that other piece. So it's this difficult balance of like our kids participate in these things with other school districts. It would really take everybody to sit down and be like, all work together, let's change this, try something new, and that part is difficult. And I'm not shooting your idea down. I'm just saying that it reminds me of this earlier discussion.
Yeah, we've already we're flipped from all the surrounding school districts, right? Our elementary school starts first and all of the other surrounding school
Elementary
districts.
school starts second.
Second.
Oh, second.
High school,
Oh.
elementary, then
High
middle
school, elementary.
Okay.
High school's first, which makes no sense in
That
terms
doesn't,
of
yeah.
development.
Well, it's time to revisit, because what
We're-
we've
Yeah.
come
Stop stealing my
leaps and
thunder.
bounds with our transportation this past, oh, sorry, I'm
No,
doing
no,
it.
I'm just kidding. That's
You
fine.
go.
No, it's fine.
Let's hear, I'm not
That's
gonna
fine.
steal your thunder.
Please.
Tack on to the calendar thing, I think
Yeah.
another part of the calendar though that we could think about is, and this goes back to inclusion and equity, is like the Regents Weeks and what happens to the children with special needs and how we kind
Yes.
of like don't serve them well.
We
during
don't
those
at all.
weeks.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is a calendar piece. And I mean, I agree with you. I think we should focus on academics and I think that should be at least part of our goal. But we're just gonna throw it out there. I think the high school offers a lot of enrichment. They offer a lot of AP classes.
yeah.
They offer a lot of dual enrollment. And I think there's the risk of inequity in those programs. Because if you're not touted in that path at 8th and 9th grade, it's very hard to get back into that path in 11th and 12th grade. And then a lot of colleges don't accept the credit, just FYI. So,
They treat it like an elective sometimes.
right,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think it's all good things to talk about, but it's not a panacea.
It's
you
super
know?
frustrating.
Oh, my gosh, wow, I was, Claire was lucky.
Well, like, yeah.
Wow.
A lot of that, a lot of that depends.
It depends on the
It,
school.
it depends on what schools you're looking at, what the credit or the course is, what your
Yeah.
major is. Like, there's all sorts of different ways to look at that. But the state has out right now for public comment, adjustments to what dual enrollment actually means.
Oh.
So if they're putting out something for public comment that they're gonna vote on at the end of January, every indication is that they're saying, this is an important thing.
Yep. No, I agree.
There's also a difference on if you graduate with credits versus graduate with an associate's. Because if you graduate with an associate's, then you're going into your four-year school at the two-year mark.
There's a
And
chance.
many of those schools will accept whatever credits you had if you have the actual associates attached to it.
Right, again, depending on major.
Depending
programs.
on,
Right,
yes.
Yeah.
From another perspective, same situation, it also, unfortunately, I know because this happened to my daughter, it negated any opportunity for financial aid that, or merit scholarships that are offered to incoming freshmen, because she's immediately a transfer student. Yep, angina, so yeah, yeah.
The unintended consequences, yep,
Yep. So, and it's something to think about, right? It's part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Now, before I bring up my four things, Kim, you made a couple faces, and I'm just wanting to see if you had any comments.
I always make faces.
I know, but I didn't know if there was something you looked like you were gonna burst like a piano at one point, and I just wanted to give you the opportunity if you have anything to say. No? You sure?
Yeah, oh, I'm pretty sure, I
All
would say,
right.
at this point,
Okay.
I'd love to hear.
All right.
Lucky you didn't get a chance to go yet, but.
Yeah, I have one thing that Peter triggered in my head when he said, I mean, the two things, like executive function and then also the gifted program. I know that a lot of the special ed kids get that kind of training, the executive function training. And I'm wondering if there is anything available, or do we just assume that kids who are in the gifted program already know how to do all that stuff and so they don't get any assistance at all? Because that happens a lot.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think we call it the gifted.
We don't.
We call it, like accelerated.
Enrichment
but-
Yeah.
or something.
Okay. So Nina, you said,
Yeah,
okay.
I just want to say, my inclination is that these great ideas would fit better under overarching categories. Just because I think there's so many other great ideas that have been raised that I don't want to be pushed aside. I want it to give it an equal standing in case something isn't able to be implemented for reasons that we may not be able to be aware of at this point. And I don't want to see us go all in on something if we're unable to fulfill something. I think it would serve better under a category, a still very strong part of that category, but I think we would be better off having it as part of a
Like an et al.
Yeah, for example.
So what I was going to recommend for next steps is that Dan hopefully shares the notes with all of us.
Oh, Dan.
And
There's a video of it. So. We're gonna watch it again.
but I couldn't help but notice that you were very diligently typing. And so I thought,
Say diligently, I'm doing my best to keep up with your conversation. But
there's some emojis in there that are questionable.
emojis?
you guys talk too fast for me to get emojis. So
But what I envisioned was all of us, Dan sharing the notes with all of us, and I think that we're going to be able to group some of these together.
Yeah.
And then, it will evolve into what you said, overarching themes. I'm assuming that's what's gonna happen. I feel like we've just had kind of a verbal storyboard, and we're gonna need to have
Yeah.
another meeting
Yeah.
to circle back and process this.
Yes.
Okay. But you stole my thunder. I was going to say that later. That's fine. Okay. So the things I wanted to say, first, since you brought it up already, was the school start time. I'd like to see if we can revisit that, make it happen some way. It just makes absolutely no sense in terms of development. Our students are already working so hard, especially as in their high school years, as adolescents. Very much are a part of that race and that, competing to get into college or get a job or do the next thing. And that sleep factor, we're just completely ignoring that biological piece. And so that I would like to see if we could try to address it again, circle back something. It may not go anywhere because there are these extrapyramidal factors that get in the way, like money.
We just got rid of all of our extra, busing and stuff.
And the issue was the fleet, but maybe we can't keep them. I think we can house them, right?
I don't know what the issue is, but now we have a new
I thought there
transportation
weren't enough
director.
bus drivers, right?
We have a new, our new transport, what's his name?
Transportation person.
Phillips.
Was there?
Didn't he just?
He wasn't
Lips.
involved in the process
Oh,
the first
Craig?
time,
Oh,
wasn't he?
right.
It was in-house.
Right,
So-
oh, yeah.
So.
Maybe we have new
He
people.
seems to have revolutionized something, or something has happened that we,
Yeah.
not paying $1 million now for,
Something did
for,
happen, yeah.
you know.
We don't have
um,
contractual
contractual
services
buses.
anymore.
Yeah.
So something shifted in his analysis,
Right.
or whoever did it, of making it a better program. So maybe
It was
we
him.
could, so it sounds like somebody we should talk to. Be like, hey,
Fair.
I know this, but there's so many other factors. It's like,
Yeah, there are.
Getting the.
It's
the
worth
committee back
circling
together.
But it's worth circling back to see if anything is improved, if there's
Yeah.
any new
Right.
options, if there's any partnerships we can establish.
Agreed.
Okay, so that was one of them. And the other, the next one is, it's a little abstract, but, I'm in my 6th year here on the board, and I have 2 children in the district, and they barely know what the Board of Education does, and if they do, it's because they're hearing it from me. So, it's like this forced interest, and I would just like us to work on I think it was Rebecca's point, communication. Was it you, Rebecca, or Tara? I would like the students to communicate with us more and us communicate with them more, at least so that they know what we're doing and they have some kind of ownership, because we exist for them, and I don't feel like they always know that. I would like to emphasize their voice a little more and have us be partners in some way. So again, abstract, but I think that at the end of the day, it gives them ownership over their education and their experience here, and I like to encourage that. So that's my one abstract idea. And then to the gifted conversation that went on. I have concerns, always have. I feel like we pigeonhole our students in the 8th grade. And it really does set up the whole trajectory
I'm
for
making
getting into
faces now,
college.
just so.
Yeah, I know, and I feel them, I feel it, I can feel them. If your kid, I would say boldly, and I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, but if your kid doesn't get into accelerated in 8th grade, it literally can impact where they go to college,
Yep.
what they can study in college.
Tracking. It's
And
basically tracking.
And it's disheartening, and it, there are so many different factors that go into it, and I have argued with other administrators in the past about it who say, no, we have a very fair process and the process is what it is and there's all these people involved. But I still think that we're missing the boat. And also, there are kids that may not have been ready for it in 8th grade, but then are a leader.
Yeah.
And it's tough bananas. There's
There should
nothing
be
you can do
reassessments
at
every
that
year.
point.
It-
So,
There has to be, I like, yes to everything
Felt
you're
it,
saying.
yeah.
Yes.
Everything you're saying.
Yep.
Because I struggled with this personally because I have parents come up to me, and as my daughter went through this as well, she's probably embarrassed after this. But no, you work so hard and the kids aren't ready. And then they get to the high school and they're told to work so hard because then they have the opportunity to possibly get back on that track. But then they find out that there's no way because there's priorities set for the 8th graders coming up to 9th. Even if they got grades that were less than, like your kid could be getting like high 90s in 9th grade, but they're still bumped for the honors student in 8th grade who maybe got a 70. And I know it's supposed to be an 85 cutoff, but that is not happening.
I agree.
And I agree, it's like disheartening to our students where we're telling our students, work really, really hard, but we're not going to do anything.
It's highly
it may not pay
inequitable.
off.
Yes.
Well, and that's the
it's
other thing.
Extremely.
Especially in middle school age, there are impacts that are well beyond the child's control that could impact them. And some of them, I think, have to do with, equity and equality. And I'm concerned that with the whole process. And again, no disrespect to anyone that's listening. I have had this argument with people in the past. I think we need to look at that again because it is so impactful. So that's one of them. I should have written them down. Actually, I did, but my computer died. The third one is, or am I on the fourth?
It's the fourth.
I'm on the fourth. Oh, no, so yes, I'm sorry, it was that both ends. I think we need to address both ends of the academic spectrum. We need to find a way to make our kids, our students more competitive. Getting into college or getting a job right now is crazy. It is a competition, and we need to provide whatever edge we can at both ends. Students who are struggling or not going to college, we need to invest in them. And at the other end too, the pigeonholing thing again. I talked about kids who don't get into accelerated. My own child who skipped high school when she was a student at Pine Bush Elementary School in the 3rd grade, she was advanced and board in class. And so what her teacher did was have her play, I think it was Yahtzee or like some kind of game, I don't know, so some kind of board game I'm unfamiliar with. She would have her play a game so that she wouldn't get too far ahead of the rest of the class. And I am very resentful of that. Sure. Fast forward, in 4th grade and 5th grade, I had a frank conversation with Mr. Sanita and Mrs. McLean, and Mrs. McLean let Isabella do an independent study and go as far as she could with IXL and things like that. And I credit Mrs. McLean all the time with the fact that Isabella had no limits and she was able to go farther. And again, she's 20 now and she's getting 2 PhDs. And I know it started with that ability to do that project with Mrs. McLean. And every student should have that opportunity to get that edge, if they want it. And so that's my thing. It's this pigeonholing, the repercussions for doing that to our students at whatever end of the spectrum. I think we need to look at those. Okay.
Where does
That
that
was it.
fall?
Whole child.
No idea. Right now, we're just throwing things
Well, I
at
know, so, well, we have lots of,
We do.
I think this is all great. And
Well,
part of
it
that,
goes
you kind
into
of saw it,
academics
mentioned it, was
and
the
then
CTE.
support.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'm trying to say both of you.
Was like the CT, like, not people, kids aren't going to college.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
it's huge right now, like what,
Right.
there's some districts that are fantastic at it, some that are not. And I think so across the spectrum, good, bad, I don't know where we are in that.
I don't either,
aspect.
and we should look, yeah.
We're not a place that's honored for it at the
Right.
moment that I'm aware of. But, so there's room for improvement in this hugely
Sure.
growing field.
To
you know.
Well, and
destigmatize
when-
it more.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
no, it's huge. It's
for our
huge.
CTE students who do have a college path ahead, depending on whether you are scheduled for morning or afternoon CTE impacts what AP classes you have available to you or not available to you because of scheduling, you know, so it just, it's complex, you know, throughout, but it's a lot to look at.
So I think we all had some really great ideas, and it's actually really neat because we all brought up different things, but you know, there's still a common ground. I think there's common threads, which is nice. I think we have enough information at least to make a first pass. For everyone to make a first pass, maybe we can have like a living Google document where we can, you know, have responses or ideas for grouping them together. I do think we're going to need another meeting though, because we're not ready to set them. Is that okay? But
yes.
you know what? If anyone's frustrated with us because we didn't get them done quickly, well, we're trying to be thorough and thoughtful.
I think there's a ton that was
Yeah, important stuff.
What, I mean, I don't know what before we get into budget season, could we perhaps set aside a half hour at a board meeting or something like that? So kind of like, do we need to set up a whole meeting?
That's a great point.
I mean, can we,
Nice.
sometimes we spend a half hour talking about board ideas and sharing. Let's just make that our board update. Be like, okay, here's where we are. Let's throw up a PowerPoint.
Love it.
What can we adjust? Because
Okay.
like we said, getting 9, 10
Can we
people
do that?
together.
Yes, please.
Are there rules about that? Great. Can we add a second?
We used to have 4 or 5 hour meetings. I'm not encouraging that at all, in any way, shape, or form. But I'm saying, I think setting aside 45 minutes on a day that we're always going to be at a meeting, I think is a,
Does everyone support
Or
that? I
half?
think that's good. What do you think,
Yes.
Peter?
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Awesome.
We have this other little thing that we have to help make sure our superintendent has goals. So,
Oh, yeah.
That's not for here, though.
no, I know that's not for
Yeah,
here,
okay.
but what I,
Alright.
no, I know.
Okay.
But this process will inform that. So
Yeah.
when will that 45 minutes take place? Is it going to be next week at our next
We
meeting?
say-
Or is it going to be?
Yeah, we can't have it go forever. I get what you're saying. We can't just.
Right. So I want to be
Indefinitely.
aware of that to make sure that we're supporting.
we have an
way we
executive
need
session
to.
today, don't we?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Talk about that.
I think we can still have some general goals.
Is there any way we
Okay.
can hone in quickly on some main points that these would work with, or are we not there?
I don't feel like, I think we need to process everything we just said, no? Right now, it's just a bunch of Post-its on a poster board of good ideas. That's how I see it. Okay. Plus, we want to be fair to Dan and, okay. So to your point, yes, I think we should add it. But we shouldn't, we should be cognizant and not have it go
Yeah.
on forever. I see your point.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all I was mentioning. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like, should we do it? I guess my real question is are we talking next week at our meeting? Where we circle back? Is that enough time for us to?
I think we have awards next week at the next meeting, don't we?
I mean, I think
You
we could
do,
take a
yeah.
half hour and take, I mean, if a document is sent out ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if
take
we
a look at,
process
you know,
it
or we
ahead
could
of time.
have a Google, well, I mean, that doesn't break open meetings, does
So-
it? But
Why don't we say, no, I don't think it does for board. So why don't we do half hour during the next meeting? And then we can see, and if not, we'll have to just have another specific meeting so that it doesn't go on forever.
Right.
Maybe we can reassess then.
Kelly, you suggested doing it in place of the open board time at the end of the meeting, right? Isn't that?
I don't think we can.
I
do
mean,
that,
our
can we?
meetings last, what, an hour and a half nowadays? Like, can people spare an extra half hour, like, next week, or, you know, it's like,
Yeah, I mean.
I don't,
I mean, they just go until they're done.
they go
So-
until they're done, there's no
Yeah, there's
like,
no set
rules. It
time.
all depends on how we feel about how long we want to sit there and talk about.
I mean, I feel
I
like you
just
should
think it
provide
should be
snacks.
after
Yeah.
both
Provide
sessions of,
coffee.
of public comment.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that-
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely, but like,
so people
there's
can leave.
time, we have time.
So at least
do.
for the next one, let's add it as an
Yes.
agenda item. Cool?
Great.
If I was board president, our meetings would be 30 minutes, that's what they. Just saying, when I sat in as board president there, I don't think I went past 40 minutes
Can't we find
anytime.
a nice middle ground between 30 minutes and 4 hours?
Absolutely. I'm just
Sometimes
saying-
Albany goes till the middle of the night.
Oh,
I'm just saying that
Albany goes till, they've had like 1 AM.
nobody
Yeah.
decides on
Nobody
how
yells
long
at
our
each
board
other,
meetings are
right?
besides us. If you guys are, if we're okay with doing these important work of.
Let's
making
do
them-
let's
Okay.
add half hour.
Put a half hour in there.
Actually, we don't even allot time, we just add an
Yeah,
agenda,
add
so, okay. All right, let's try it.
Okay.
okay.
I don't think I
So-
could ever do half hour, sorry, bro.
Could I give a board share real quick? That's not
Yes,
about
but Peter's
goal,
giving you a-
Peter's
Oh,
Oh,
gonna
no, go
give us
ahead.
something.
No, go ahead.
Okay. 90 seconds ago, Jen Sykes just had her 100th win as a Guild Rolling coach. They just Gatorated her outside.
100. Wow, congratulations. Okay. Wow, 100. Wow.
I was just gonna ask if you need a motion to go to executive session.
Oh, I do. Yes.
Okay.
Can I
So
get
we-
I would
so-
like to make that motion.
All right.
If we're
Okay,
ready.
Seconded.
Okay, Tara.
Wait, who's second?
Tara.
Okay.
All right.
There's no gavel. Thanks.
We're out.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Andy. Are you still there?